So I've created 3 rules that make a Diablo-like game. Number 1, it has to have an isometric view. Number 2, it has to have action combat, nothing turn-based or anything like that. And number 3, it has to have some kind of loot in the game. Now, I don't mind breaking one of these rules if I get a chance to show off a really good game. I didn't want to play Diablo-like games that most people have heard of, so I had to dig pretty deep for these. So the first game is called Vikings, Wolves of Midgard, a world based upon the mythology and history of Vikings. It's got less than 3,000 mixed reviews. RPG, hack and slash, action. Okay, looks interesting.
Okay, so let's test out the first ability. It's on my 1 key. Oh, damn. So it's a dash forward, and it knocks back the giant. Oh, what a sick dodge.
My first impressions are the game looks reasonably good. It also includes a climate mechanic, the same that you would see in survival games. If you stay in the cold too long, you take damage. You have to warm up by a fire. I found that this mechanic, although an interesting layer to the gameplay, was tweaked a little bit too often. It ended up being just distracting rather than adding to the overall experience.
All right, quickly get back to the campfire. Oh, there we go. Just in time.
The game includes an interesting rage system. So after a certain amount of damage, you build up your rage bar. It works the same as being on Twitter or having an ultimate ability in an RPG, giving you 15% more damage, and it can be leveled up as you go through.
But I will once I've cleared this. Oh, I've got rage. That's right. All right, let's use it. Let's use rage. Oh, this is a chieftain. That's an actual boss.
Because of how little amount of time the rage bonus lasts for and how long it takes to build up, around about 4 or 5 minutes, I found that the rage bonus, although very fun, was extremely unimpactful. If it tripled your damage, for example, 300%, I don't think it would have a lot more value. Vikings had a surprisingly cool selection of monsters, with crows, big ice golems, giants, other Vikings, Valkyries, wolves, and they have a lot of interesting abilities too. Now, I played the game on normal mode, assuming that that's how it's intended, and quickly you'll find that it got very difficult very quickly. And you gotta remember, I'm no pushover with action RPGs, I've played them my whole life. So it wasn't a me thing, it was a game thing. And I'll share more about that as we move forward.
Come on, we've got to get there. We've got to ignore all the goblins. We've got to go straight for the health pack or I'm going to die. No. Oh, we made it. Just made it.
First boss fight came in relatively quickly while playing the game. And honestly, it was really fun. I died at the start and realized that I needed to step on the orange circles to heat my character up because of the climate mechanic. It was good.
Okay, first... Oh, god damn it. I was not expecting that at all. Dude, this boss fight is really in depth. There's so many wolves now. Was that 8 wolves? Oh, rage is ready. Don't even need the rage. Done.
Now, the first signs of the game falling apart for me was the character customization.
Look, I'm going to be honest here and just say that the leveling up system is pretty bad. If it was increased by 20%, it'd be barely noticeable.
You want to feel powerful in action RPGs with every item you find and every level. Unfortunately, in Vikings, the level bonuses were so small that it felt like just a complete waste of time. For example, every time you level up, you only gain 1% into a certain stat. Here's how this plays out. Let's say you put 1% into your health and you have 800 health. Well, that only gives you 8 health, but an enemy can kill you in 4 or 5 shots, so it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. But the game has bigger issues than that. So I finally grinded my way through to the second boss. Now, in the first wave, she had 2 shielded Vikings that you had to fight through. But what I didn't notice was the boss was level 6 and my character was level 3.
Dude, look at it. Look at her health bar. It's not even moving. It's not even moving. All right. There's no way. There's no way. It's not doable, man. It's not doable at this level.
Now remember, I'd completely full cleared the game up to this point. So what that meant was, when it came to actually fighting the boss, I was significantly underleveled, and after 6 or 7 attempts, I realized that it's just not actually doable. Rather than just running through the campaign, it wants you to rerun certain content to get to a high enough level to be able to kill the boss. This extra padding felt like a really big cop-out than just having a shorter game experience. And this is what completely killed my motivation to continue to play the game. This super grindy element of the game also reflected on the NPCs. So if you want to upgrade your weapons or any of your gear, you need a huge amount of crafting material that you just cannot get through from playing the campaign without rerunning the content over and over again. The last thing that I noticed about Vikings was the game has a really big graphical problem. I had the game set to ultra graphic settings, and you could see that the textures were extremely blurry. Now this only happens when a game has been developed for a lower resolution and stretched out to meet the minimum recommendations of 1080p. I know this to be the truth because if you look at the UI in the game, it's perfect. It's sharp and crystal clear compared to the muddy, blurry textures used for the environment and character models. This leads me to believe that this game probably started off as a mobile game or was intended to release on mobile first and was later adopted to PC with a new user interface. Review time. Vikings had a lot going for it, but unfortunately the glaring issues of extremely unimpactful character customization, the need to rerun content to be able to go through the campaign, and the obvious upsized graphic textures, I cannot wholeheartedly recommend this game, and it's a real shame because if those issues were fixed, this would have been a really good game. Warhammer Chaosbane, 2,400 mixed reviews. In a world ravaged by war and dominated by magic, you must rise up to face the chaos hordes. Let's do it.
This is beautiful, by the way. The tree and this big eagle. Oh damn, it looks great.
I was immediately impressed by the art style in Chaosbane, and it's something you can expect from a Warhammer title.
The map design on that's awesome.
The way that the levels are structured in this game is a little bit different. In most action RPGs, you can walk from one zone to another without a loading screen. This game, they've created instances through the use of portals, which is really unnecessary for the year that this game was developed in. I found that this slows down the gameplay for me and completely takes me out of the vibe, which is one of the strongest pulls for Warhammer games. But on the other hand, the game has incredible skills. They feel very fun, and it was very convenient to be able to swap from one to another. For example, early on in the game, I was using a slash ability that felt like every basic first skill in an action RPG, but very quickly on, I was able to swap to a throwing axe ability that had a piercing attack with significantly more damage.
By the way, the throwing axes are way cooler, and it pierces as well. Oh my god.
Followed up by a charge ability that I quickly found out you could spam if there are several monsters around, changing the way the gameplay plays.
Okay, ready? Let's test it. The double tap. Ready? Told you guys. When there are enemies around, you can animation cancel. Alright, that changes things.
And yes, it's here in Chaosbane as well. It has a rage system identical to the previous game Vikings, although in Warhammer Chaosbane, they did it the right way.
When the bloodlust gauge is full, collect the red orbs that appear when enemies die to heal yourself and replenish your blood gauge. Let's get a whole heap of mobs here. Alright, that's good enough. Oh, wow, yeah, it's an ultimate ability. Oh my god. Alright. Here we go, let's do it. Ready? Oh, this is going to be so satisfying. Oh yeah, multi-shot. What is all this loot that I'm getting? Alright, stuff it. I'm using it. I'm using the rage. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Level 12. Level 12, baby. Whirlwind. It is really, really satisfying.
But some of the flaws started to show that I do see in action RPGs. It still is incredible to me how many developers completely forget about character customization. Almost every single mechanic in an action RPG revolves around making your character stronger. You're getting loot to make your character stronger. You're putting stats into strength, dexterity, vitality for the same, as well as different skill selection. Unfortunately, Chaosbane falls short.
Character customization is mediocre. It gives you automatic stats. It does not have a skill tree. It automatically gives you abilities and automatically upgrades it with levels.
Even with the limited amount of skills that are on the classes in Chaosbane, it still would have added a richer experience if the player had to commit and choose these abilities. The itemization in the game is just straight down the middle standard. It's what you can expect from most action RPGs. It lacks the depth that some games offer. The only item that I found that was a little bit odd was early on in the game, instead of getting armor, you would acquire tattoos, which add stats to your character, which kind of breaks the, tattoos giving you stats. It's a bit odd. Review time. Chaosbane falls very short from most quality AAA action RPGs. I can only recommend this game if you are a Warhammer diehard fan. It also suffers from some pretty amateur technical issues. For example, the audio mixing is off.
Listen to the audio. So if you guys have got headphones on, the audio is running like a stereo Doppler, so it's running in the left and right ear and it's not centered. It's like, imagine two mono channels split. So when I'm listening to the atmosphere and the music, it's coming through the main channel, but when I'm attacking, it's got a weird Doppler effect. It's a really odd thing. I've never experienced this in a video game before.
I'm not sure how well the audio issues are going to translate in this video just because of the process on how I recorded this game from a live stream to another re-rendered video. So I'm going to give you an example that I've artificially created that has the same experience as what you will have in the game, rather than having it centered like this. I also feel like the camera was pulled probably a little bit too far back, but that's just a personal thing. I want to give the game credit though, because its art design is phenomenal. Some of the colors are just beautiful in this game. Undecember. Probably the most popular game in this list, 13,000 mixed reviews. Undecember is a hack and slash action RPG in which players are able to surpass conventional limits of skills. Cool. I guess we're going into the world of free action RPGs. My first impressions of the game is that the combat is extremely fluid. The game kicks you off in a tutorial where you get to test out a lot of endgame skills. The combos are really fun.
Wait, let's do the combo. It's very fluid, very fluid.
The character model was a little bit odd at first because of how modern it appears, but I've noticed this trend on all Asian games in the last 2 years. I feel indifferent about the topic.
Really? This is what the character models are? It's not exactly high fantasy. Male or female. Why do I just look like an average 23-year-old from Melbourne? How is it? We're starting to look a little bit more like a fantasy hero and less like Kevin, your roommate's mate that you met from the nightclub.
Straight away, you dropped into a high fantasy world. It was really cool to see for the first time.
Oh, he's so big. Imagine in this world, like you would never run out of food because you just eat this big lizard. This big lizard camel dragon.
The skill system had a layer of complexity that I really appreciate. You acquire skills from quests, by the way, rather than leveling. But what makes the skills unique is within the hexagonal shape of the icons, each one has a color attribute that you can attach a secondary modifier, changing the skill. If the color matches, it will link. It was refreshing to see some of the familiar stat depth that you get out of really fun action RPGs, one of them being damage reduction, that plays such a heavy role with itemization and character customization.
They're very different, armor, dodge, and barriers in ARPGs. The mechanics work slightly separate. Armor is damage reduction, usually. Dodge is just completely do not take damage at a certain percentage of the time. And barrier usually is the same, where you do not take damage at all, but it has a limited amount of time. But they're all the same mechanic.
I was playing on the Asia Pacific server because Australia is oceanic, so I get better ping on Asian servers unless there is a dedicated Australian server. It appears that the game is online only, and because the game is free, I'm almost certain it falls victim to spam and botting.
Straight up spam, unfortunately.
Now, I was completely blown away at how much this game babysits you when it comes to potions. I've never seen anything like this.
I'm curious though how I'm getting my health back. Like, check it, watch my health. Pay attention to my health bar. Let's see. Yeah, see that? I didn't even do that. This is the combat, by the way. I know it's early on in the game, but I didn't even use that potion. It did it for me. It used the potion for me. By the way, I have 42 potions.
Now, unfortunately, with most free games, there is a predatory and highly confusing monetization system. I had a little bit of a sticky beak at what they were offering and immediately got overwhelmed, confused, and turned off by the in-game shop altogether. I definitely wasn't committed enough to spend any money, even for the sake of a video. I was pleasantly surprised though by the Zodiac system. So this functions the same way as a stat system, but it's all interconnected and branching. I will say that the enemy AI was not as great as it could have been, but to be fair, I don't expect amazing AI out of action RPGs, or the same experience you would get from a Souls-like game, for example.
Here we go. Red portal. Collapsed fortress. He's doing a bit of damage. He's doing a bit. I mean, he's trying. That wasn't the boss, was it? Hey. No way that was the boss.
I really enjoyed the idea of movement speed bonuses from potions, and I would have loved to have seen this concept expanded upon throughout the game. It's a really cool idea. Consumables that add small buffs for a significant amount of time, in this particular case, 2 minutes.
Hey, movement speed elixir. That's what we need. I'm going to buy a ton of these. Spend all our money on movement speed elixirs so we can just smash through the game. So let's try and get all those movement potions, and we'll try and hook it up to our quick slots. Oh yeah, we're auto using the hell out of this thing. I want this thing up 24/7 the whole time.
Everybody loves extra movement speed, right? So the game has your very standard action RPG monster archetypes. So you've got your trash mobs, and then you've got your elite mobs. And then I started to see a familiar face, but with a different name attached to it.
Oh, there's definitely something over here. Here he is. What's that? Treasure goblin. Yeah, it's a treasure goblin. Like, no shame. No shame at all. 90% of the ideas in this game are just straight up taken from D3.
I felt like the game was extremely generous with itemization and inventory space, which is a huge thing in action RPGs. You can hold 150 items at a time, as well as being able to utilize a pet in the game, similar to Torchlight from back in the day. Undecember definitely has a lot of cliches, but I guess if you're looking for a Diablo-like game, I'm not sure if that's necessarily a bad thing. Familiarity, right? It felt very rewarding as I leveled up high enough to get enough skills to create my own combo in how I roll it out.
Heap of mobs here. I'm going to leap in. I'm going to use the frozen, and then I'm going to do a slash. It's a bit of a combo. So let's go for it.
And eventually, it was boss time.
Alright. Here it is. Here's what we've been playing for. The Chieftain's Audience Chamber. Alright, Chieftain. Let's see what you got for me. Oh, it's... Dude, it's Asmodan from Diablo 3. It's straight up just Asmodan from Diablo 3. If they didn't put him over here, I can't believe that. I can't believe this is the Act 1 boss. Why you gotta do Asmodan like that? Why'd they put him in a fucking wheelchair, dude? This is the stupidest boss ever. This is the stupidest boss ever. I think that's it. I think that's it for Undecember.
Review time. Undecember is an incredibly competent action RPG. It suffers from a terrible monetization system, but also it is the most unoriginal hack and slash ARPG game I've ever played. It is quite literally a complete ripoff from Diablo 3. The reality is this game might be appealing because of how similar it is. I just cannot recommend this game. It is way too unoriginal. Death's Door, 11,000 positive reviews. Wow, okay. Reaping souls of the dead and punching a clock might get monotonous, but it's honest work for a crow. Action adventure RPG. All right, let's do it. Let's check it out. This is the furthest away from a Diablo-like game, but I've included it in this list because any opportunity I get to share a cool game, I will take it. The only thing the game is missing is itemization. Right, there's no loot in the game. All right, so we're like 2 minutes into the game and we're already fighting a boss.
Demonic Forest Spirit. Oh, it's an octopus. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. Okay, I gotta look out for the whips. Oh, easy.
This game has Souls-like mechanics, and it functions a lot like a Zelda game with the cool isometric camera view and super responsive action combat. The level design is extremely thought out and well done, and no real estate is wasted in the game. There's no dead space. Everywhere you go has a purpose.
Pretty fluid level design so far as well. I'm pretty impressed by this game.
I noticed that the monsters in the game have just enough depth to keep the combat interesting.
So I'm guessing I can only hurt those dudes, these beetles with the masks on their back, when they're down like that.
Pretty clear to see that this game is very pretty.
Wow, look at that. This is really, really visually appealing. This is where we were earlier. They've added that cool blur to give depth. This is probably one of the coolest scenes that I've seen in this game so far. This looks really good. This polished marble. This lonely chair by the fire. All very moody.
This game is very generous with boss fights, and we're back into one already. It's very Final Fantasy Square Enix. It caught me off guard for sure.
Guardian of the Door. This is an awesome boss.
As you can see, the boss fight itself has quite a lot of layers to the different abilities that it uses. It's not vapid, it's not one-dimensional, it has a couple of different mechanics going for it.
Oh, gotta look out for that. Jesus Christ. Okay, a laser beam. He's hurting though, I can feel it. Oh no, one more hit and I'm dead. One more hit and I'm dead. Dude, this thing just will not die.
You can see some of the fun, easy, but extremely satisfying puzzle inspiration coming through on the gameplay, scattered throughout. So far, Death's Door has been quite surreal, but at the same time, it does not take itself too seriously.
Hothead. Where are my manners? I'm very pleased to make your acquaintance, Big Face. Pretty cool that the suit falls out.
I also noticed that to keep the combat exciting, it includes a lot of mini bosses that are challenging enough, and you will die on the first try, but you won't die on the second.
Okay, we got enough to shoot now. Oh, that was so close. Oh, look, he's going red. He's about to die. Yeah, look, we did get hit again, but he's not looking too healthy. Done.
I really enjoyed the way that they handled combat. So you have your normal melee attack, but you also have a bow with limited ammo. But instead of collecting more arrows, every time you attack, you get another arrow in your quiver at a very limited amount. So this forces you to play both ranged and melee at the same time.
Okay, reflect this back to it. Whew, okay.
Review time. I highly recommend Death's Door if you're into indie games. Although if you're looking for a true Diablo-like experience, probably want to stay away from this one. But if you're willing to trade in loot and itemization for a more Dark Souls experience, you're gonna love this game. Wigmund, only 95 mostly positive reviews. Defeat the evil Anticus as you fight his malefic servants in this open world fantasy action RPG. Pretty keen to check this game out. I was immediately impressed by the way this game looks, especially considering how small of a project it is.
The game has a very nice visual charm. Like, look at this water. I can get in it, I can walk around in it. Yeah, so far so good. I do really like the survival vibes of this game. It really is not just a beat 'em up hack and slash. I'd say it's more of a survival game that plays like a Diablo-like game.
You are not immediately bombarded by loot in Wigmund. In fact, it comes few and far between, a little bit similar to old Dungeons and Dragons games like Baldur's Gate. Items feel pretty important when you find them.
Oh, hell yeah, chest armor. Leather vest. That's the only armor that we've found, by the way. We've only found a helmet and a chest piece the whole time. We've been playing the game for about an hour.
The game is a very, very humble project, and you can feel it when you first start to play.
And here's the fire stock song that's kicked in again. Dude, I like this game. I don't know what it is about it. Charming, it's different.
One example of this is the fact that it only had one song in the soundtrack, which I assume was a stock song. The skills in the game are extremely underwhelming compared to other hack and slash games. It feels a lot more understated, again, like old school D&D Baldur's Gate games.
All right, this is perfect. This is perfect. All right, let's test it. Ready? So got my health, which is red, green, which is stamina, and the yellow bar is my mana. I want to see if it regenerates by itself. So it's just a big swing.
There are two types of attacks in the game. You have a big heavy overhead swing and a slash that hits multiple targets. You also have an action roll with a stamina bar that you will use in combat to get the most out of your attacks.
So I've been using the over the head attack. B is a full swipe, so we have multiple enemies I can swipe. Okay. Oh, they're low. They're all very low. I'm also even lower though. Oh, that was sick. That was sick. Right, we're gonna play a little bit of action. Play like a Dark Souls game. Oh my god, that was sick. We actually did that.
Wigmund does not give you a lot of ways to heal. You can eat food to slowly regenerate your health, but this only works outside of combat. But you will have a very limited amount of elixirs that function the same as a potion, but again, very, very limited amounts. It also includes crafting with mining minerals, harvesting herbs, and even fishing. Review time. I really connected with Wigmund, but not for the same reason that I do with most hack and slash games. I think the charm about the game is that because it's such a small project, I found that I was rooting for the underdog. It just has not had enough time and resources to fully actualize all of the ambitious mechanics that are included in this game. The combat is clunky, similar to games from the 90s, but the trade-off is that it's extremely visually impressive. I would definitely recommend this game if you do have a tolerance for trying out cool small projects that aren't quite up there, but are still fun in their own way. So you've made it to the end of the video. Please let me know of any other action RPGs that you would like me to check out.
Yeah!